What's going on, guys? Welcome back to United View. I thought I'd go live early, even though we were scheduled for 1:45. It doesn't matter. We'll go live early because there is just... Where do you even start? Where do you even start with that? To be honest with you, where do you start with that? And look, I've been... I don't want to say defending Ole Gunnar Solskjaer because I don't think I have. I wouldn't say I've been defending Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in the sense that I've been saying that that he's the best manager in the league, because he's not. But for me, you can't defend that today. That's the problem, is that you can't defend that, and it's I'm kind of speechless, to be honest with you. I'm speechless. I mean, everything that went wrong today could go wrong, and Ollie's going to have to take a ton of blame for it. A ton of blame for it. I just see some people saying that Mike sounds a bit funny. Bear with me 2 seconds. Just if everything else might as well go wrong today, let alone that as well. Let me just check the sounds all right. That sounds all right now. Yeah, for whatever reason, my mic was turned all the way up to the top. I don't know why, but yeah, just we'll get into it. But I mean, I can get your chat up on the screen as well, so we'll talk about you guys' opinion. Of course, if you are just joining, obviously you might not have seen the game today. I mean, again, where do you start? I mean, the frustrating thing is with that. I spoke to KG at halftime on the match view, and that there were parts of the game. Where we played okay, but I mentioned it I wrote it down in my notes, like, because again I was going towards the end of the game thinking that this was going to be a 0-0, and I just sort of said, like, when did we ever threaten? We did not threaten whatsoever today. We did what we did against West Ham, where you do some nice passing, or you flick it about a little bit, a couple of flicks, and then you have a shot from 25 yards out. Keeper just has to just stand there, or it goes over, and then that's it. And then that was it. We didn't threaten at all. We really didn't threaten at all. If anything, to be honest with you, that penalty in the last minute, if we'd have got out of that game with a 1-1, you would have said, well, Man United got away with one. And that's it, because we just today were not good enough again. And I'm not going to be one of those people that's going Ollie out tomorrow, because again, he's not going to go out tomorrow. But I mentioned it in the match preview. And it's come to life at this point now. That I said in the match preview, if he loses today, there is massive pressure on him. There is massive pressure on him now. And make no mistake, if we don't get a result on Wednesday against Villarreal, he is in, dire trouble, because then you've got back-to-back losses in the Champions League, and whilst you can come back from that, he would be in a lot of trouble. And that Villarreal game had pressure on it anyway, and now that pressure just has doubled like that. Absolutely doubled like that. And, we will get into the nitty-gritty, as we always do on the match reaction here, but just throughout the game, and I've mentioned this time and time again, you watch Manchester United and you go, what's the game plan here? What are we trying to do? What are we trying to achieve here? Like, what's our style of play? And there really isn't one. And today, ultimately, flat out, was just not good enough. We, again, flicked the ball around, passed the ball around a bit, and then just hoped eventually that Aston Villa would make a mistake, or they would drop off, or someone would score a goal from 25 yards out, 30 yards out, whatever it may be. And that was it. And we really didn't threaten. We really, really did not threaten at all today. And it wasn't good enough. It just flat out was not good enough. Super chat from Tag says, I think Greenwood was selfish today. Well, Greenwood had a chance. Look, Greenwood had a chance to square it, and he had a couple of shots. Maybe he should have done some extra passes, but again, like Greenwood's just... I wouldn't put the blame on him. I think that this is incredibly frustrating, and I can see a lot of people. And we'll get the chats up on the screen. Rotom says, Owen, how is this different from last year? Where is the improvement? And the answer is, Rotham, is that at the moment there is no difference from last year. Absolutely, there is no difference from last year. But this is what I'd said before here on the channel, is that unless something drastically went wrong, Ollie would be judged. If Aston, we lose today, and obviously our title rivals, one of them dropped points in Chelsea today, and if we lose on Wednesday, then Ollie will already be in massive, massive trouble. There was pressure on Ollie anyway, because of the loss to Young Boys. There was pressure on Ollie anyway because of the loss to West Ham, going out of the Cup, one trophy down. And now there's massive, massive pressure on him. Massive pressure. And look, I'm not going to say if we lose against Villarreal, he'll get sacked, because I don't think he will. I think they would, United would probably take that option if it looked like we were going to go out of the Champions League or something like that. But Ollie's in massive trouble. And I've said this time and time again. I spoke to Flex about it before, and me and KG spoke about it earlier today on the Match For You as well. Those people that think that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer isn't good enough to win a trophy at Manchester United, or isn't good enough to, win a title with Manchester United, whenever they make their points, they're becoming more valid. They're certainly becoming more valid. And I'm still a proponent of Ollie will be judged at the end of the season, unless something, is catastrophic happens. Absolutely catastrophic happens. Like I said, we go out the Champions League in the group stage and we're like 10th or 8th or something like that. Basically like how Mourinho was when he got sacked. Then maybe that would happen when it comes to Ollie. But I think fundamentally, you look at today's result, and that just is not good enough. Is not good enough whatsoever. Absolutely is not good enough whatsoever. And you would think now, if you were Ollie, and to be honest with you, I don't think he'll do this, which again does not help him. But if I was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and I was playing Villarreal on Wednesday, I'd go, you know what? What I tried today in terms of tactics, setup, isn't good enough. It's not good enough. It's not working. Right? It didn't work with 11 players on Wednesday nights, or whenever that game was, Wednesday nights. It didn't work then. It didn't work with a separate 11 players today at Old Trafford either. It didn't work for two of them. This whole 4-2-3-1 BS, it just needs to end at this point. We keep hearing over and over and over and over and over and over again, Ollie wants to play a 4-3-3. He wants to play a 4-3-3. Then do it. Play an attacking style of play, because what we were playing today was, again, at points you go, that was some nice football. It didn't result in goals. It resulted in having shots. But what do shots even mean? They're just statistics. You can have 30 shots, but if they're all from 30 yards and they're all down the keeper's throat or over the bar, it doesn't count for anything. That doesn't mean anything. Oh, yeah, we had loads of shots. That's what I said in the week. Yes, we had shots, but so? What does that even mean? It doesn't mean anything. And let's be honest here. Aston Villa had far more gilt-edged chances today. If anything, I mean, they scored their goal in like the 80-something minute, but they could have had 2 or 3 before then. They missed some real gilt-edged chances. And that's ultimately why it wasn't good enough today. Is because we can tap it around and we can have shots and we can play with a bit of a tempo for 5 minutes here and 5 minutes there. But come on, it's like the same as West Ham in the week. That team on that pitch should be good enough to beat Aston Villa. And ultimately, look, you're going to have to put the blame on the manager today and the players. Obviously, everyone takes the blame. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he's just put a lot of pressure on himself. Tag once again with the super chat says, don't you guys think we're just inviting attacks with Fred, with the McFred approach? To be honest with you, look, I thought Fred actually played all right today. I really did think he actually played okay today, but we don't need that 2 sitting midfielders at Old Trafford at home. We really do. We don't need to do that. We have one of the best attacking lineups in the league. The attacking players we have at our disposal is incredible. Why don't we use them? Why don't we intimidate teams? You got the impression today that Aston Villa were not intimidated whatsoever. And people can say Greenwood, oh, he should have done a pass here and he should have done that. Greenwood arguably was the one that actually looked lively. Greenwood actually did look quite lively today. Other people up front, again, it wasn't. It just ultimately was not good enough today. Whatsoever was not good enough. And again, now, if on Wednesday nights, Ollie goes 4-2-3-1 against Villarreal, he is running a risk. He is running a massive, massive risk. Because if we lose, and let's face it, chances are that could happen, he will be in massive trouble. Massive, massive trouble. Again, if he loses on Wednesday, he won't get sacked. I know some people would like that to happen, but if we lose on Wednesday, he ain't getting sacked. That's just not happening. But he's got massive pressure on himself, as if the game on Wednesday wasn't big enough. Now it's huge. It's absolutely huge. VK says, Bruno has a better penalty record than CR7. I think Villa players were pretty unsporting leading to it. Not meant to be. Every top player misses sometimes. We didn't need to a 93rd minute penalty to earn a point. Look, the Bruno penalty, look, I'm not blaming Bruno Fernandes for missing the penalty. Look, his penalty record is very, very, very good. And people do miss penalties, right? Like I said before, if we'd have scored that penalty and we came out 1-1, you'd get the impression papering over cracks, because it wasn't good enough. It wasn't good enough, and it just summed up today's performance, that we just weren't good enough today. And you know, it's difficult to look at that and just go, because there's so much wrong with it. There is so much wrong with it, and you look at the lineups on paper and you just say that's just not good enough. Absolutely not good enough. I think going forward, Ronaldo will probably be like, look, next penalty's mine, mate, because that penalty was horrendous. I mean, we're talking miles over the bar, and I think Ronaldo will probably be on the next one. And look, if Ronaldo does take it, maybe he scores and it's 1-1. But in fairness, and again, this is why I'm always open to listening to different people's opinions about, you know, tactics and the manager and all this kind of stuff, because let's face it, against West Ham in the league, against Wolves in the league, and against Southampton, really only since the first day of the season, first game of the season against Leeds, we did play very well. Since then, it's been these kind of performances where, you know, we do some nice stuff, we might pass it around a bit, some flicks, but do we really threaten? Do we really threaten? Do we go, tell you what, we had some gilt-edged chances that we missed? No, we don't. We don't. We don't dominate teams, or we don't. It's kind of this sort of mirage that we're playing attacking football, but we're kind of not. And today, like when you're at Old Trafford, you saw it after like 55 minutes. The crowd was getting frustrated, and it was just poor, really, really poor, really poor. And again, I'm not going to be those posts. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer isn't going to get sacked tomorrow because he lost to Aston Villa. He's not going to get sacked if he loses against Villarreal in the week. I know a lot of people would hope that would be the case, but he's put massive pressure on himself. And like I said to you guys before, the points that people are making about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, the points that people are making, they're difficult to disagree with. They are difficult to disagree with, because they're valid points. Because those people that make those points and say Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is not good enough to win a trophy with Manchester United or win a league with Manchester United will point to games like today and go, well, what was that then? What was today? Because the difference between today and last season is nothing. It's exactly the same. And it's already points dropped. And we haven't even played the big teams yet. That's what is so frustrating to me. Is I said this so many times leading into the season. I tell you what, we've got a great run of games. We've got a great start to the season. We've got matches that we should be winning. If you're going to win the league, if you're going to win a title, no disrespect to Aston Villa because they beat us today, but if you're going to win the league, if you're going to win a title, you beat Aston Villa at home. You do, because Liverpool would do it, Man City would do it, Chelsea will do it, they all will do it, because you should be winning those games. And to be honest, Villa deserved it. Villa absolutely deserved it. There's a super chat here that I missed. Another one from Tag who says, we didn't need McTominay in the game. Ollie needs to trust his back four. Well, I would agree with you. That's kind of the really frustrating thing with me that I'm not understanding right now. Is that whole discussion point. We've heard it a couple of times. Ollie really wants to play 4-3-3. Well, I'm yet to see it. I'm really, really yet to see that. Where is that? You know, where is that desire to attack teams? Not that that's a defensive formation that he's playing today, but he's putting two holding midfield players in front of a back four that doesn't need protecting at this point. So I just don't get it. I really don't get it. And Again, I think Ollie will take a lot of the blame today, and I think that's fair, and I think that's justified. It just was not good enough. Absolutely wasn't good enough. We'll go through some talking points in the game. But as always, make sure you smash a like on the video. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. See if we can get it to 100 likes. We're on 78 likes at the moment, so that's 22. See if we can get 22 likes in the next couple of minutes, get it to 100. At least we can achieve something today. At least we can achieve something and get to 100 likes or something like that. But it was just... It was just so poor. It was so poor and so really disheartening. And that's the thing, isn't it? That's the thing. It's the hope that really kills you, isn't it? That with the signings that we made this summer, and look, our season isn't over after one loss. Of course it isn't. But after the signings that we made over the summer, you hope that results like this wouldn't happen, certainly this early into the season. And it doesn't, and it just feels like Groundhog Day. It feels like Groundhog Day, and that's the frustrating thing. So, as always, first 5 minutes, of course we started very well in the first 5 minutes. The 5-minute press was real once again, and we looked a bit lively, high tempo. Again, not that it meant anything though. You know, we did have a high tempo. We did look lively in the first 5 minutes, but what did it lead to? Shot from 25 yards, applaud from the crowd. Another shot from 30 yards. Keeper catches it over the bar, and you go, "Oh, we're playing some nice stuff," but it doesn't mean anything. Here we go. Zayn Miasi's back. Saying, rolling around on the floor. To be honest, Zayn, it's very big. It's very big from you. We'll wait and see. We'll wait and see. We'll wait and see what happens when it comes to Arsenal. Rotham says, Owen, have you noticed how they sat on our goal for the last 10 minutes until they scored instead of the other way around? Well, like I said, Villa had way more clear-cut chances than us today. They should have been like 3-0 up. They had so many chances, so many chances today. United, what was our clearest cut chance was that penalty. Apart from that, I mean, you could maybe argue with the Greenwood one where he should square it, but apart from that, the Villa had the better chances today. That's just the facts. So the first chance they had was the target miss. Luke Shaw got caught, and this is again a concerning thing coming out of this game. Of course, is that you've got Luke Shaw. Now it's going to be injured. Probably we don't know how serious. He might be out Wednesday. Harry Maguire came off injured as well. He might be out for Wednesday as well. So we got this massive game that we've already got a weaker back four for, and that will mean that Ollie goes 4-2-3-1 because he thinks we've got a weak back four. I've got to protect him, and that's how we'll get McFred again. And that's not what we should be doing. AMLG says, Ollie is a mirage manager. I don't know what people need to see to understand that. He is not the guy going forward. Giovanni says, Ollie out. You only need to have one in the pitch, Ronaldo or Bruno. You can't have both egomaniacs going for the ball. We know this. I blame Bruno 100%. I think that's harsh. Giovanni. I think you want to have as many world-class players on the pitch as possible. We've seen Bruno and Ronaldo link up several times today. We didn't lose today because of Bruno Fernandes missing a penalty. I mean, arguably, you could technically yes, because he missed in the last minute. If he scored, we would have drawn the game. But overall, that wasn't Bruno Fernandes' fault today. The blame today ultimately will lay with the manager, and that's fair because we weren't good enough. And for the last few games, I speak about patterns of play, and I know people get frustrated about patterns of play, but we haven't seen any. We really haven't seen any. And well, I mean, what can you say? So again, going back to that target miss. Luke Shaw got caught out. It was a through ball past Luke Shaw. Great ball in by Matty Cash. To be honest, Matty Cash, before Luke Shaw came off, had the running of Luke Shaw. I wouldn't be surprised if we find out that Luke Shaw was carrying a knock coming into this match, maybe. Because he looked miles off it. And Target should score. How he missed it, I have no idea. So that was the first one. The first one, again, they should have been 1-0 up anyway. It was a horrible miss. Another chance for Villa. Ollie Watkins, he should score. That was the one where Harry Maguire did that weird, just bizarre pass back. To David De Gea, who, in fairness, it was a bad pass back from Harry Maguire. and then a bad reaction to the pass back from David De Gea. So I'm not sure what that was. Ollie Watkins essentially has a one-on-one. He should score. De Gea makes a good save. He should score. But at that point, it should be 2-0 Villa. At that point, it should have been 2-0 Villa. They had 2 gilt-edged chances. And then again, we did react to that. We attacked pretty well. But once again, it's shots from 25 yards. What does that mean? I mean, what does that mean? It means nothing. It looks threatening, but in reality, it's not threatening at all. It wasn't threatening at all. It's kind of, oh, that looks good, and you get the impression of, oh, maybe we are going to build some momentum, but we don't. We don't. Super chat from Milverton Richard says, explain to me how you waste Cristiano Ronaldo. If it was Martial, it would be all his fault, but it's even more clearer to see for the blind. Well, Ronaldo, to be honest, was barely involved in the game today, was he? He was barely involved in the game, and I think, again, that comes down to, we've said this before, when it comes to Cristiano Ronaldo at this stage in his career, you have to create for him. And ultimately today we didn't. Because if you're just having shots from 25 yards out, I mean, I don't even know if Ronaldo had a couple shots from that far out, but it doesn't matter. But we know to have Ronaldo at his effective best, we've seen it already for United in the goals he's scored. You have to create him chances. Not just having shots from 25 yards out. It was do some flicks. Are we going to look for the final pass? If we did, it didn't work. If not, we just had a shot. And that was it. It was just again, incredibly frustrating. Just beyond frustrating. Shizal Patel says, people thought this Joker was going to challenge Pep, Tuchel and Klopp. Outplayed in 4 games. Haven't played any of them in... and have zero hope of UEFA Champions League group now. Well, I don't know if we have zero hope in the Champions League group, but again, the game on Wednesday is huge. It was always huge, but now it's huge in the sense of Ollie. And this goes back to when we were talking about it in the press conference the other day. People now will be asking questions. People will be saying to him, and they should be asking questions of Ollie. Do you think you're good enough? Do you think you're good enough? Can you do this? Do you think you can win a trophy? Do you think you can lead Manchester United to success? Because this is the season. We mentioned this time and time again. The discussion of, well, we don't have a defensive midfielder, or if Ollie goes, oh, well, I don't have the defensive midfielder to play the 4-3-3, that is bullshit. We have the players to dominate teams at the moment. Do we have the ideal or perfect squad? No, but I don't think any squad does. Man City won today against Chelsea. They didn't even have a striker. I mean, they got Jesus, but they don't have the striker they want. But guess what? Managers find solutions. They look at the players they have at their disposal and they go, how can I play the best way possible? How can I play the most effective way possible? And they don't. They didn't today. And it just was not good enough. Today. And as I mentioned, after that Watkins chance, they should be 2-0 up. And we just continued to make trouble for ourselves. We really did. Eventually, Luke Shaw came off. He got replaced by Diogo Dalot, who, of course, is going to be starting on Wednesday in the Champions League anyway, because Wan-Bissaka is suspended. So it's not ideal that he played a huge amount of minutes, and he'll be playing a huge amount of minutes in the week as well. Shaw not playing on Wednesday. Again, I don't know how serious the injury or not is, but Shaw not playing on Wednesday is a massive miss, because that would imply that Telles is going to play, and Telles was god-awful against West Ham. He was terrible against West Ham in the week. Now, hopefully, he just can't have another as bad of a game, but he was miles off it on Wednesday night. So, and again, it plays into, like I said earlier, like, oh, if you wanted a reaction from Ollie and the team, you would be like, right, I'm not doing 4-2-3-1. I'm going to set up, we're going to blow them away, we're going to do attacking football, we're going to try and score goals. But he won't now, because he'll say, Luke Shaw isn't playing, Maguire isn't playing, we have a weaker defence, I've got to protect him. And that's what he'll do again. He'll do the shielding. And the comment by Ollie in the press conference that he made in the week, or on Friday rather, yesterday, when he said he was asked by Per Carson, who obviously did an interview with Flex here on the channel. He was asked, you've been conceding goals. Once again, we conceded a goal today, not another clean sheet. And he said, you're conceding goals. Is that not a worry for you? You're conceding all of these goals. I think we've had one clean sheet now in like 16 competitive games, in the last 16 competitive games. He goes, is that not a concern for you at all? And Ollie basically said, well, I'd rather score 5 and concede 1. I'd rather score 4 and concede 1, 3 and concede 1, 2 and concede 1. Which is a good answer, but we didn't today. We didn't today, and we didn't Wednesday. And we didn't look like we were going to. We didn't. We could have got lucky with the penalty. We would have got lucky with that penalty. And that's the thing. And they'll point to, I'm sure, I haven't seen the Ollie comments, the interview that he would have inevitably done after the game. But if he comes out and he says, look, we had lots of shots, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't. That doesn't mean anything. Milverton says, Ollie is going to be made to look like a complete fool if a top-class manager get a hold of this side. Too many fundamental mistakes at this level, unacceptable. So, look, Ollie will take a lot of criticism today. And previously, when we lost to Young Boys and when we lost to West Ham in the week, again, I don't want to say like defending Ollie, but I was like, the players have to shelve some of the blame, and it's early to be saying that he needs to go or anything like that. And again, I don't think that he's not going to get, well, he just isn't. He's not going to get sacked for a while still at this point. But today, the majority of the blame really will go on him. And that's justified. He's justified. He got it massively wrong. Massively wrong today. And he'll have to take the blame for it. He absolutely will. Now, again, Aston Villa had another chance after already should have been 2-0 up. They had another chance from Konza from the corner where Aaron Wan-Bissaka got caught underneath him. Harry Maguire had a header chance from the corner in the first half. It was a strong arm from Martinez. Pogba nearly scored with a header as well. Corner came in. Pogba just kind of reacted to it, just went past the post. It was quite unlucky. But even those, they weren't gilt-edged chance. That Pogba header was, again, just kind of a reaction to a corner. There was no real pattern of play or a real nice move where you go, we created a chance there, they should score. We didn't. They were half chances at best. And half time, you're thinking, okay, we're going to see a reaction. We didn't. We didn't really see a reaction whatsoever. It was more of the same. And I put in my notes here, 55 minutes in, and frustration was already kicking in. You could see it. You could absolutely see it kicking in the fans at Old Trafford. This is when Maguire went down injured. I mean, technically, this is our third defeat in 4 games across all competitions, I think, right? Because it's Young Boys, then we won against West Ham, lost against West Ham, and then lost today. So it's the third defeat in 4 games, and that's why the pressure will be on, and now is truly on. Because people will be saying this isn't good enough. It's nowhere near good enough. That performance today will get you absolutely nowhere near a league title. It won't. It won't. And to be honest with you, if we play like that against Villarreal on Wednesday, I'm concerned too. I know that Villarreal haven't started the season particularly well in the league. I think they've drawn all of their games. I don't think they've lost. I don't think. I might be wrong there. I saw a stat the other day. I don't know if this is true, that Villarreal actually haven't won a game since they won the Europa League final against us. I think they've drawn or lost all of the games since then, including pre-season. I think they've had all draws in the league. But look, if we play like that, Wednesday, we'll play into their hands. Absolutely. It really will. De Gea did a pass to a Villa player. They got a corner, and there was, again, already frustration was kicking in, and it was already erratic. There was this weird thing as well with Maguire, who eventually did come off. Again, we don't know how long he'll be out for. One would assume if he came off today, he probably will be out midweek too. So again, you've got Maguire and Shaw probably both missing on Wednesday night, which is a huge miss. Not that Maguire was on his best form anyway. I don't think he has been on his best form for this season, to be honest with you. So he comes off, which again did kind of hinder the amount of changes we could make, because 2 of the changes were enforced because we had to bring on, of course, Dalot for Shaw and Lindelof for Maguire. So the other change was Cavani on for McTominay. But by that point, it was 78 minutes, 80 minutes, 82 minutes, whatever. It was too late. It was too late at that point. It really was. And that's the frustrating thing as well, I think, when it comes to Solskjaer today. And people will point to it. And again, absolutely will be spot on. It's a valid criticism. But people were saying, I get it, bring Cavani on last 10 minutes. But those changes need to be made well earlier. It wasn't working. You could tell it wasn't working. And it was kind of out of hope that maybe we would score. Maybe we'll score. Maybe we'll get lucky. Maybe we'll have a penalty. Maybe we'll do this. Maybe we'll do that. And it was not good enough. Absolutely was not good enough. And I put in my notes again, kept coming forward, but final product, final pass, etc., it just wasn't there. Just wasn't there at all. Nowhere near. Again, you had forward runs. Pogba had a shot that was over the bar, or someone else would have a shot, go straight at the keeper. I think Greenwood had a run straight at the keeper. I put in my notes here as well. Has Martinez had to make any major saves? Not really. Not really. A couple of comfortable saves from the corner earlier on in the half. Other comfortable saves from 25 yards out, anything like that. There was no point today where I looked at Martinez and I went, excellent save, real excellent save, or, oh, United should have scored there one-on-one. I really didn't think that. The final product, the final cross, the final pass, the final shot, it was just non-existent. Just non-existent. Did we ever really threaten? The answer is no. The answer is no. And again, when it comes to a top manager, it comes up to solutions. Managers have to find solutions. And today, I think, again, people will point to this, that a top coach would have looked at that and said, right, not only is it not working, I need to change my shape, I need to change players, something needs to change because what we're doing is not working. And we just need to, let's throw attacking players on. We've got enough of them on the bench. Let's throw them on. Let's change something. And we didn't. The answer was no. And then again, as if Villa should have been 3-0 up at this point anyway with the chances they miss. But Ramsey for Villa, I don't know what happened to him. Did he go off at the end? I'm not sure if he did. But the ball was put across and it was a tap-in. It was a tap-in for Ramsey and he just lost his footing. He lost his footing. It looked like he was injured. I was actually a little bit worried for him because I thought he'd done like his cruciate or something because he just completely collapsed. But it was, it was nasty. And I put it after that note, I said Villa looked more likely to score. Cavani came on for McTominay, and then it's the Villa goal. Corner comes in, Courtney Horse, Cavani, Horse just gets ahead of him. It's a very good header. It's a very good corner. And the thing I just put underneath that was, Ollie's in trouble. Ollie's in trouble. That was it. Because that just summed it up, that we were just nowhere near it. Not only nowhere near it in terms of performance levels, but just nowhere near it in terms of scoring or threatening or, and that's kind of been United. That's been United for a while now. And I put under there the quote, I prefer to score 5 and concede 1. We were never scoring 5 today. Never scoring 5 today. And it was so poor. And then obviously a couple minutes later, you have the penalty. Bruno skies it over the bar. I'm not going to blame Bruno Fernandes, and say, oh, Bruno Fernandes, you cost us the game, all this kind of stuff. If you want to get technical about it, of course, technically that was the case. But the issues today were far bigger than Bruno Fernandes missing a last-minute penalty. And if anything, if Bruno scores that penalty, I think it papers over the cracks of what was a poor performance, a really poor performance. Villa deserved it. They deserved it. They had far more gilt-edged chances. They missed a ton of chances, far more clearer chances than us, and it was just poor. It was really, really poor. Now, I don't want to turn this too much into like a preview or anything like that for Wednesday because that game speaks for itself, but if you were going to make, because I want to get some of you guys' opinions in, because I can see a lot of people, rightfully so, very upset, very angry, saying that the manager is a bit stubborn, or he needs to go, all this kind of stuff. Again, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will not be sacked because of today's result. Today's result will just put pressure on him. Massive, massive pressure on him. Wednesday's game was big anyway. Now it's ginormous. If he loses Wednesday, will he get sacked? The answer is no. He won't get sacked if he loses on Wednesday. But he would be in dire straits. Dire straits. We've got 3 defeats in the last 4 games in all comps. That is really not good enough. And especially with this squad now, there are no excuses. You could have said, look, if come the end of the season, we were like 5 points off the league, which seems laughable with what we've seen over the last few games. But if we were 5 points off the league, you would say, if we'd have just had a defensive midfielder, maybe it would have got us over the line. But we'd said it time and time again here on the channel that with the squad we have, with the players we have, we've got Cristiano Ronaldo, for goodness sake. He's one of the best players, if not the best player ever. Even at this stage in his career, there is no excuse not to be challenging. There is no excuse not to be dominating teams. There is no excuse just to not be ripping teams apart. It's Old Trafford. It's in the Premier League. And it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. 58 GOJ58 says, Ollie said corner was offside. Well, I mean, what's he going to say? What's he going to say? I mean, Sir Alex was notorious, wasn't he, for blaming anyone but the players. But you would absolutely hope that he gets into that dressing room and says, what the F was that, basically. That is ridiculous. And he can blame offsides, he can blame decisions, but we didn't lose today because of refereeing decisions at all. We didn't. We got a penalty in the last minute. We nearly got bailed out, right? It's Mike Dean. That's what he does. Mike Dean gives the last minute penalties and all that kind of stuff. And it just wasn't good enough. Again, we should be scoring 3 or 4 goals at Old Trafford. I thought that's what Ollie wanted. What I want to see now, and what I think Ollie needs to do to save his season at this point, is that 4-2-3-1, it's dead. It's absolutely dead. It's over. We see how we play with 4-2-3-1. That we've seen it. We've seen it. But, you know, we've seen how we play. We play a laborious football where, again, it's kind of mirage football in that you go, well, we have good spells at points and the tempo's high at points, but what does it lead to? Cut and dry. How many chances do we have? We don't. The style of play has to change. The formation has to change. You have to look at the players you have and go, how can I get as many as possible into the side? How can I play attacking football? If you're saying in the press conference you want to be scoring 4 or 5 goals and conceding 1, or you want to be scoring all of these goals and blowing teams away, you have to prove it on the match day, because with that formation, with that lineup, you won't be. I mentioned before the game, like the outrage that people had when McFred started. I said, I don't know why people are so outraged. It's frustrating and it's annoying because we don't want them to play. We don't want McFred to play. But the idea that it's a shock is laughable, because it's not a shock. We know that's what he's going to do. And I can see it here. I can see it here. Sufyan says, Owen, do you think Ollie will actually change? You've been saying the same thing for 2 years now. The style of play never changes. No, I don't think it will. I think he'll play 4-2-3-1. on Wednesday. I think he will. I think he'll play 4-2-3-1, especially with the injuries now to Maguire and Shaw. I think he'll think I have to protect the back 4. And it will then be a case, I think, of does he not get away with it, but if he doesn't get the result on Wednesday, then he will be in massive there'll be massive pressure on him. Massive pressure on him. And it's not good enough. A Game of Opinions said, when will fan channels start holding players accountable? Everyone's an expert sitting on the couch and cry about the manager like he controls the players' every movement and decisions. LOL. Well, A Game of Opinions, if you saw the match reaction I did on Wednesday, I was saying that about the players. I said that I felt on Wednesday that the majority of the blame would go on the players and that they had an opportunity to perform Wednesday. These are players that are maybe on the fringes or are going to have lesser games, Anthony Martial, etc., and they weren't good enough. I said the same against Young Boys in the Champions League. That whilst, again, Ollie probably did not manage the game well, he went defensive too early, you can't blame Jesse Lingard passing the ball to the opposition player in the last minute on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. That's not his fault. You can't blame Aaron Wan-Bissaka doing a shitty first touch and then stamping on someone. You can't blame Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for individual errors like that. In the same way that, because this is my point with all of this kind of stuff, is that it's one or the other, isn't it? Some people say if it's an individual brilliance, that's not on the manager. But when it's an individual mistake, that's the manager's fault. They're the same thing. But today, this is a performance whereby I think the manager does have to take the majority of the blame, because he should have seen that this wasn't working today or changes need to be made. That's the situation. I think obviously you can blame players and all that kind of stuff. Did they perform to the best of their abilities today? No, they didn't. And they're professional footballers, and they should, there's experienced pros on there, and they should be performing at a higher level than that. But ultimately, there is a pattern here. There is a pattern here. I mentioned it. Since the first game of the season when we played against Leeds, we played very, very well. But since then, it's been games like this. It has been games like this whereby we maybe threaten, and I use that in inverted quotes, threaten, because again we pass the ball around a bit and there's a bit of tempo and all this kind of stuff, but it's just shots from 25 yards out, and it's not good enough. It really isn't good enough, and something needs to change. And again, if it was me, which it isn't, if it was me and I was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer right now, I'd be like, man, okay, I really need to change our formation because what we're doing isn't working. What we're doing just isn't working. And I would go, okay, against Villarreal, I'm going to go for a 4-3-3. Or I'm going to go to a 3 at the back and I'm going to try and play with at least 2 people up top or something like that. Something like that. But he won't. He won't. We will play 4-2-3-1 on Wednesday night. And then, again, with any manager, they put pressure on themselves. They put pressure on they put pressure on themselves with the decisions that they make. And that Wednesday was a big game anyway. But it's incredible. There's a lot of pressure. Richard Littlewood says, so now with Pogba on the left, what is the point of buying Sancho? Well, I think Sancho, look, if you were saying that Sancho would only be playing on the right, which obviously he can play on both, I would say Greenwood should be playing on the right. But I agree with you. Why wouldn't you have put Sancho on the left? Why wouldn't you bring Pogba back? Why wouldn't you, to be honest with you? Why, in a game like today, you don't need those 2 holding midfielders? That's the problem. That's the issue. You don't need those 2 defensive midfielders. Today is a perfect example of why Pogba should be playing as an 8, and there should be a Sancho on the left, or there should be more width on the left, or whatever. But there isn't, and that's why I think it's gone massively wrong today. I think today, if you're going to learn anything from it, if you're going to leave anything from it, the 4-2-3-1 has to go. Has to go. Mark Gemini says, I've stood by Ollie from day one, but I have to say we play the same tactics and formation with the same performances and he won't change. It's gone stale. And do you know what, Mark? I think that's probably where I'm kind of leaning at this point, is that I do back the manager because I'm a supporter of the club. And I try and be a realist as much as I can, and I try and be as rational as I can. And like I've said before, time and time again, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will absolutely be judged this season. If he fails this year in terms of in the Champions League not being good enough or miles off it in the league, I think he probably will get let go. But I think that would happen later on in the season, at the end of the season, unless something catastrophic happens, we go on a massive run of defeats starting now and we're out of the Champions League and we're like 10th, then he'll go very much sooner. But this season he'll be judged. But KG said it really well on the match view, and he's like, look, I still kind of back Ollie, but it's eroding, and it feels like with every game it does keep eroding, and like in the week you go, oh, that's really disappointing, but it's okay, we'll move on. And then today you go, oh, and it erodes, it absolutely does erode. And it's performances like today just aren't good enough, just really aren't good enough. And it's frustrating. Like I said before, it's the hope that kills you. It's the hope that kills you, because we had a great summer. We really did. We had a great summer transfer window. We signed Varane, we signed Sancho, we signed Ronaldo. That's enough to compete. Those signings are enough to be beating Aston Villa at home. Old Trafford should be a fortress. Absolutely, it's a fortress. But it's incredibly frustrating, and I think, look, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting similar results. We're not waiting for anything to click at this point, are we? The formation that he's playing, the tactics that he's trying to implement, the game plan that he's trying to implement is not there. It's time just to scrap that. Absolutely scrap that. And make no mistake, if he doesn't scrap that, and we keep getting performances like this, then he'll be in massive trouble, because the time for excuses are just they're absolutely over. They're really over. So he's put pressure on himself now. He absolutely has put pressure on himself. Be sure to smash a like on the video. At 187 likes, over 400 people watching. So we only need. This is when I have to do the maths that I'm terrible at. We only need 13 more likes. 13 more likes to get to 200. So be sure to smash a like on the video. Be sure to subscribe. Bottom right hand corner. I see a couple of people saying, "Where's DJ?" DJ had some commitments and. Jack has had some internet issues, so that's why they're not here today. They would usually be with us for the match reaction. We are going to have, of course, fan views coming today, which are going to be very, very, very interesting. Because they were interesting on Wednesday. I mean, I was watching them on Wednesday after the Carabao Cup game. And again, the people that were saying that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer isn't good enough, etc., the points they were making, very valid. Very valid. They're difficult to argue against. Very difficult to argue against. And I'm sure they'll make the same points today. And, there isn't any excuses. You can't have any excuses today. There aren't. It's not a case of, like Wednesday night, we go, Martial isn't good enough, or so-and-so isn't good enough, or they shouldn't be playing. Today, that team should be beating Aston Villa. That's why I say that I think today's more on Ole than the players. Again, I think actually Fred, I know Fred gets a lot of stick, but I think Fred actually had one of his better games for United today. But there was no need to have both Fred and McTominay in that deeper role. It wasn't, because we only needed one. We could have had today. We could have had just Matic. Just Matic would have been fine. Would have been good enough. And get those attacking players. You can't, again, I keep going back to this quote, but it's true because he said this in the press conference. You can't keep saying, I'd rather score all these goals and concede one, but then play essentially, I don't want to say we played defensively today, but no real emphasis, no real tempo, no real just patterns of play. I know people mock me for it and say patterns of play, all that kind of stuff, but there wasn't any. Did you legitimately? And you can let me know in the chat, did you literally watch that game today and go, I know exactly what Manchester United are trying to do here. I can see the game plan. I can see what they're trying to do. I can see whatever. I can't see that. I can't see what we were trying to do today. We couldn't. And that's the frustration. That really is the frustration. And I'm kind of speechless, and I know, which is ironic considering I've been just ranting for 45 minutes. But the game Wednesday now is massive. Not that it wasn't massive anyway, but it'd be interesting to know. And this is why this is what we'll kind of wrap it up with. Wednesday nights, obviously we have Villarreal. I'll ask one. One, do you expect to see a reaction? 2, do you expect to see a change in tactics or style? And 3, do you think we'll win? Let me know in the live chat, and we'll get those comments up as we'll wrap things up here. So, yeah, do you expect to see a reaction? Do you expect to see a change in system? And do you expect us to win? I think that's the big question, because I don't know if Wednesday's the biggest game of his Manchester United managerial career, but it's huge. It's absolutely huge. There's so many comments coming in. Raz says no. HCG says expect to see a reaction. Doesn't see change. Doesn't think Ole will change tactics, but does think that we'll win. Clown Prince says you are playing at home against a team who is not a contender for the title. You must be picking up points. Even a draw would have never been enough. How even a 1-0 win would have not been good. I agree with you, Clown Prince. Again, if you're going to win. If you're going to win a title, you beat Aston Villa at home. Absolutely. Adam Bittman says, no changing tactics, no reaction. We will draw Villarreal on a bad run, but I can't see us beating them. VK says, same 4-2-3-1 and a draw most likely. Philip says, no. It's very interesting. Very interesting. Chris says, nope. Fat Thor, which is a tremendous name. I love that name. Says, I know we will see the same approach. The only approach he knows. Abdullah says, Ole just don't learn from his mistakes, continuously making the same errors for the last few years. Jedi Pyro says, I expect to see a reaction. I hope to see a change in system, but I feel this is unlikely with the coaching setup at United. They've already shown their limitations, which I think is fair. Timmy says, Ronaldo is key. He's got the clout to get that clown out, trust me. A lot of people are saying that Ollie is too stubborn, 4-2-3-1 until next summer. So I agree with you that I think that we'll see a 4-2-3-1. I would hope we see a reaction. At this point, I really don't know what the result would be against Villarreal, because you never know. You never know what Man United are going to show up at this point, and I think we'd probably see the same. I think we'll probably see the same kind of performance, whereby there are at points it looks like we're being attacking, at points it looks like we're playing well, but in reality we just have shots from 25 yards out, or we just have shots from 30 yards out and it goes over, or the keeper makes a save or whatever, and we maybe hope that we get a penalty or a set piece or a corner or whatever. But that shouldn't be the way we're playing. That shouldn't be the way we're playing, and that just isn't good enough. That is not good enough, and I'm with you. I don't expect to see a change in system. I don't expect to see a change in tactics. Ollie will know that the result ultimately Ollie will know that the result is the most important thing. The most important thing on Wednesday, and like I've said over and over and over again, Ollie, this is the season that Ollie will be judged. But if these results don't start coming quick, then he'll get judged even quicker. And you mentioned Ronaldo there. It's interesting because, let's face it, Cristiano Ronaldo will not put up with this. He won't put up with this. He's too good for it. And I mentioned before that Cristiano Ronaldo could be the one that really costs Ollie in the end, in terms of not performances, but in terms of going, look, this is not good enough. I didn't sign up for this. I came to Manchester United to try and help turn the club around. I'm meant to be one of the missing pieces of the jigsaw. I'm meant to be this. I don't want to be at a losing side. That's why I left Juventus. They came fourth last year. I don't be losing to Aston Villa at Old Trafford. It's not good enough. It really isn't good enough. But we'll have to wait and see what happens on Wednesday night. Look, guys, I've been talking for 50 minutes. I need to just, I don't know, cry or something like that. But be sure to smash a like on the video. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. As I mentioned, Flex is at the ground today, so he's going to have a ton of fan views coming up, plus his own view, so you can get to see his and lots of other fans at the game today, their opinion. As I mentioned, be sure to smash a like on the video. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. I'm out of here, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.